Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Dhaba podcast. Joining me today are the lovely Sameen, Kanza, and the amazing Junaid. And we have a movie to unpack today. We're going to be talking about Black Widow, the Marvel movie that has been in what delaying hell.
Development hell.
Well, the movie
Yeah.
was done, it just didn't come out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think it's just been delayed because of COVID for so long. But the movie is
Yeah.
finally out, and I think we all watched it yesterday. Uh, and what did you guys think?
I mean,
Who's
it was
starting?
good. For me, it was good. I mean, it was better than Age of Ultron for me. So there is my point.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Samin, what do you have to say about the movie?
I liked it. Like as an underrated character, finally getting their backstory movie, a solo movie. It was really good actually. Like they tried to go in a spy movie, which was, I guess, after Winter Soldier, Captain America, Winter Soldier. This is the closest they've gone to a spy kind of movie. So I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Kanza?
I like Black Widow a lot. I mean, I grew up watching her. I have read up a lot about her. But the only thing about this movie that bothered me was we know she dies.
Yeah.
What was the point? Why give us the story now after so long?
I
I guess they just wanted to like humanize her some more and make her sacrifice more meaningful because like watching the movie you realize that this is probably the last time that she saw her family in because we don't know if they were like snapped away or not in Infinity War, and then 5 years later also she doesn't get to meet them. So giving her a backstory is kind of fun because technically we have the backstories of all the other original five Avengers. um Hawkeye is also a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
okay. So I told you guys coming in that I had a lot to say. Junaid, do you have anything else to
Mm.
say?
Yeah, I'll just put 2 points to Samin's comment, which was the point of making this was because one, they had to like cover what happened to her between Civil War and when she
Infinity
disappeared,
War.
Infinity War.
Infinity War, yeah.
The second point was since Hawkeye show is coming up and it has Yelena in it, so they had to make a background story of what Yelena's character is basically about. So
Mm.
that's the main point for me.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, since
so
Yelena is like most probably going to become the next Black Widow, so they had to introduce her somehow as well. They can't just drop her in a short episode series out of nowhere.
Exactly.
well, White Widow.
Yeah.
Mm.
She's gonna be in the Dark Avengers if nothing.
Yes, Dark
Yeah. Oh,
Avengers. That's one of the things that has me so happy. Dark Avengers
yeah.
confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah. Either the Dark Avengers or this other team, the Thunderbolts.
The Thunderbolts are also very possible,
Yeah.
honestly. Either way, I'm very happy. I was talking to Kanza about it yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I'm so happy with Dark Avengers. Oh, this was this morning.
Yeah, this
Dark
morning.
Dark Avengers. I'm so freaking happy for that. But then I remembered, hey, we might also get White Vision in the Dark Avengers
Yeah.
or the Thunderbolts.
Most definitely. That was
Yeah.
like
Like
part
he
of the
just
series
disappeared.
anyways.
Yeah, he just disappeared after the final
Right?
battle in WandaVision.
Was like that lineup is looking crazy. Even Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, or anybody will have a problem with that lineup.
Mhm.
Uh,
Oh, for sure.
but yeah, so here are a couple of things that I liked about the movie, and a couple of things that I
Mhm.
hated, and I did hate a few things about this movie.
Yeah.
Right. So the one of the things I loved about this movie is that Black Widow is just a great character as well, and the personality she's been given in this movie is just like A1. Right,
Mm.
the sisterly banter throughout the entire movie is just fantastic in my opinion. Like I
I,
just
I,
I
I,
Yeah,
The such a poser dialogue by Yelena. I loved that. And when she
That
finally
and
does it
when Toy,
herself,
yeah,
and then she
yeah,
finally does it herself, then she goes like, "Ugh, disgusting."
yeah, exactly. I mean,
I loved her. I loved her. I loved
I
Yelena.
loved Yelena. I loved the banter between the sisters.
I
Um,
love the obsession with the West that they
yeah,
had.
yeah,
The vest the vest is the same one that Nat is wearing throughout Infinity War, by the
Yeah.
way. So
yep.
that's a nice little like
Yep.
a call forward. Say
Okay, so
something.
in this whole movie, the proper story is based on that they had a Russian background and all this, right? Whereas besides from Yelena, nobody has that accent, and she's pulled it off.
Hmm.
So that's a
like
main
like
point, right?
Rachel Weisz tried to pull it off, but it's
Yeah,
not
but it's
as
not really
convincing. It's not
Yeah.
as convincing as Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
Florence key acting and Florence ka portrayal of the character is just spot on. It's like one of my favorite
yeah,
things about this movie, right? So like some of my favorite scenes in the entire movie are just like interactions between Yelena and Black Widow, right? And the next thing that I love about this movie is also something that I hate later on is that Taskmaster is just amazing,
yeah.
right? I absolutely love Taskmaster. I had a cosplay planned out for Taskmaster. It just got delayed. I was supposed to be wearing the costume for this review. But whatever the case, Taskmaster, I've always loved Taskmaster because of his ability to copy the Avengers. And uh, he's just, oh,
Underutilized, I would say.
that is what I hate. Right?
Yeah,
They build
like
up Taskmaster so much in the trailers, and then where, like,
like it's like the final boss, and then he fights Red Guardian in the end. I wanted like more
I know
Natasha
that
versus
was like,
Taskmaster.
He,
why?
she,
Yeah,
not he.
yeah. It was
spoilers,
Antonia.
by the way.
Antonio, yeah.
There are
Yeah.
going to be spoilers in this.
Yeah. I mean, like this is the Black Widow review. So
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah, but yeah, they built up Taskmaster so much in the trailers and the multiple numerous clips that Marvel released, and then in the end, she's fighting Red Guardian. I don't know, I wanted her to fight Natasha instead, and we just get a like Black Widow Royal Rumble.
I know, right? And especially with the history they were giving with that, how Natasha was the one that killed her. I feel like we should have gotten more based on that. That
Yeah.
she completed that part of that.
Hmm.
I can just
Yeah.
see Umer rolling his eyes.
I'm just happy we finally know what happened in Budapest.
Yeah.
Budapest.
Yeah.
Budapest.
Budapest.
Fine.
Budapest.
Budapest. Yeah,
Budapest.
I've been waiting since Avengers for them to explain what happened in Budapest. Also, another thing, another like call back to Avengers, like it came in 2012, right? It's been what, 8, 9 years? My
Mhm.
math is bad. So another thing, like when Natasha is interrogating Loki in the helicarrier cell, the first thing that he mentions that Barton told him, Loki, about Natasha's past, he said the words Dracov's daughter. And now we finally get to
Yeah.
know in
Yeah.
2021 what exactly happened. So that's
It was a
also a
long
nice
time
little
ago.
like reference point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Budapest and Dracov's daughter, that's two throwbacks to Avengers in 2012. And this is basically what I want to rail on to Warner Brothers and their silly, stupid ineptitude to build a connected universe, a cinematic universe that they have unfortunately failed to do with DC.
But to be fair,
Like even little things, years later, you can get to connect little things.
well, to be fair, I'm going to talk about that just like really slightly. Warner Brothers is too
Yeah,
busy trying to play catch up than establish
yeah,
anything, right? They did that with
mm,
the Snyderverse as well. Even the Snyderverse, if you know the entire plan for it, it was a bit rushed
yeah,
anyway, right? So
yeah.
they just don't know what they're doing over there. So that's just
Exactly.
let's
Even
just
though
bring
they
it
have so much potential to be able to do it well, but
exactly.
mm,
They really don't. But let's get back to the topic at hand, the Black
yeah.
Widow.
Mm,
So Taskmaster. I mean, I guess it was always kind of the thing that Taskmaster, everybody knows that Black Widow can't take Taskmaster on her own, right? I mean, for God's sakes, the damn thing has the fighting moves of Captain America, Black Panther, Spider
Yeah.
Man, Hawkeye, and Black Widow, among
Yeah.
others. So like, there's no way that you're taking uh, him out, no matter what you
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
alone. Having the
Yeah.
Red Guardian fight him is honestly the only way that fight could have gone out
Mm.
because Red Guardian is the only person who could have taken out Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Speaking strictly, not like speaking strictly from a skill set point of view,
Yeah.
right? Like the only person in the entire lineup of this movie that could have handled Taskmaster was the Red Guardian. So
And that's in
Yeah.
terms of strength, though, not
yeah,
skill.
like sure,
Because even the sky battle when they're falling and like Natasha versus Taskmaster, that battle, I don't know, that was, it's not exactly the best location, I would say, to show off Taskmaster's abilities
yeah,
of copying, because we saw very little of those overall.
I agree.
Yeah, that we did. I feel like we definitely needed more of them.
Yeah,
But
because
And
that sky battle, by the way, was like something straight out of like Final Fantasy Advent Children, like Cloud versus Sephiroth in the movie.
yeah, I
But
remember.
yeah, but greatly underutilized Taskmaster.
Um, I'm hoping to see more of Taskmaster. I'm also hoping that she's
Yeah.
part of the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avenger team.
Mm.
That'll kind of add to it all.
Mm.
I feel like we're gonna get her in Hawkeye as well if Yelena is gonna be a part of it if they're in the same team. I feel like
Probably.
we might get more of them.
All right, so the next couple of things that I have to say that I'm going to open up the floor for you guys to discuss those things as well, and then we'll talk about our final thoughts about the movie and the review and the final score as well. So, is it just like something that Kanza said as well, and something that we discussed this morning, that the movie is very, very, very inconsequential, right? So,
Yeah.
like, there's nothing that could have happened in this movie that would have made us been like, oh no, Natasha, what's going to happen? Right? So
True. True.
it's
We
always,
had no suspense.
Hmm.
oh, the building is catching fire. Natasha's running. Will she survive? Yes, she will. We know this from 3 years ago.
We
What
know
if they
when
had
she dies.
what if they'd had a plot twist, like if they had used the disguise masks and we find out, oh no, someone else died in Natasha's place in
Oh yeah, no,
Infinity
it was
Infinity
Jelena the whole time. I would have actually that I would have welcomed that. Not gonna lie.
War. True. True.
Okay, I would have actually welcomed that twist, and I'd have been like, oh dude, what? Right? Natasha's still alive somewhere. That would have been quite the plot twist.
Yeah.
Okay? And that would be something that I'd welcome. But
Mm.
that's not what we got. So the entire time we all knew that nothing's gonna happen to
What's gonna
Natasha.
happen?
Okay?
Yeah.
She
So
has plot armor.
yeah, she literally has plot armor. Okay? So it's like you know the entire time nothing's gonna happen to Natasha. You're just watching this movie for the sake of watching it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no consequence, right? So it's like you
It
definitely
was
know
a
she's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it was basically like
Honestly,
a fun little add-on.
one of the things I loved about the movie was the fact that they buried Natasha in Ohio. I mean,
Mm.
because like based on what she said when they first arrived at that place when she was 9, like I want
Yeah.
to go back to Ohio, and
Mm.
that's where they ended up burying her. And like that just hit me in the heart.
Also, after the fact that they didn't show a funeral for Natasha in Endgame and they showed one for Tony, that gave my heart a little peace.
Honestly,
Like, okay,
same
yes,
here.
that she has a gravestone. She
She has
got a
a grave.
funeral probably. Yeah.
People are dropping off flowers and whatnot for her. Like
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
missing her.
Where'd they get the body?
There was no party. They were probably an empty grave.
Okay, so
One
Who
more
how
knows?
thing.
Maybe they went back for it when they went to put the stone back.
That was just Steve, and he didn't come back
yeah, he
until
didn't come back.
he took the slow way back. And
Oh, yeah.
speaking of Steve, one more thing. when Alexei, Red Guardian, he's in the prison, and that other
I
guy
knew
Ursa,
somebody was gonna mention that.
yeah, when Ursa says that Captain America was in ice, so how can you claim to have fought him? Like, we know there were other super soldiers. We found out about Isaiah Bradley in Falcon and Winter Soldier, so it's
Yeah.
possible that he fought some other Captain America. Maybe, is it possible? Any ideas?
I mean,
Like,
so
not Steve Rogers Captain America, maybe some other Captain America like
so
Isaiah.
it's possible, but there's also always just a possibility he's lying.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's Alexei. We
Yeah,
know that
he
he
brags a lot.
lies.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
brags a lot.
Yeah.
So
But again, they've just left it open for people to speculate.
yep. And I wouldn't like honestly, if I was arm wrestling Alexei and he told me a story about fighting Captain America in the 50s, even in the 50s, for God's sake, I'd say yes, sir. Don't snap my hand into gelatin.
Okay. Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
went to watching that arm just like flop around, and I actually like my wrist started hurting at that point, and I was just like, "Holy,
Exactly.
holy hell with that."
Like, okay, there's this dude, this huge dude named Ursa, who's supposedly a mutant who turns into a bear in the comics, and he
Yeah.
now has a floppy wrist and is probably buried under the 100 feet of ice now, thanks to Yelena.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The point to
That's
get
fine.
that's how you get away from a bear. You play dead. The hand is
Yeah.
just gonna stay away from it.
Anyways, I am quite looking forward to Yelena being hopefully a good guy in Hawkeye, because Valentina is quite misleading her regarding how
Oh
Natasha
yeah.
died. Yeah,
Yeah.
so looking forward to like Yelena and Kate friendship as the new Black Widow in Hawkeye, or White
White
Widow.
Widow and
Kate
yeah,
Bishop.
Oh, yeah,
love her.
yeah.
Well, I
And
even
they
love
both
the
have
actress
dogs.
playing her. So,
They
I,
both have
Yes.
dogs, by the way, Yelena and Kate.
yep.
Yeah.
So, Junaid, what do you have to say about the movie being inconsequential?
Yeah, you've been
Uh,
silent a while.
yeah, it it answered a lot of questions, but at the same time, it just I will just say, one, they finally revealed what happened in Budapest and how Hawkeye met with Natasha, of course, and they uncovered the story of what happened in the Red Room. Because all we heard in the Avengers was that Natasha went to Red Room and she escaped from there and that this and that, but they never like told the whole story about what happened there and how they were trained, and that was a big part of it. But I will just say that I will give a huge kudos to Florence because that one was the scene where the pose. The second was when she was explaining what happened inside when they cut stuff inside,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
and
involuntary hysterectomy. Yeah.
I read up about it. It was said that there was like no script to it, and her response was just like when Alexei was like, "What are you on your period? Is it
yeah,
that time of the month?" And they just like unleashed her on them, and I was just like, "Yes,
Like,
this is what we need."
no,
David's
and
response
also
was
I have,
great.
and I've seen like on posts on Facebook, on social media, like people who are Russian, and they have been saying that the way she describes it, basically her whole acting, it's very like something an actual Russian person would do, like that.
Yeah,
Also,
The whole,
she's the most
like, blunt, head on, full
closest
description.
they
yeah,
got to a Russian accent, if that's the proper word. So, Natasha, it was no Russian accent at all. But I will give a round of applause for Ever Anderson
Or
because the way she played the young Natasha was brilliant,
yeah,
and that was hard acting for a kid. So that was brilliant. I will say, but they also revealed the thing which I hated was that in the end, the thing with the mask and how she did and this and that, that was just kind of lame and rushed
Hmm.
because you're building a whole plot and in the end you just finish it like that. That's not how it's supposed to happen. So in
That
that sense, it was a bit rushed. Also, the first message which I sent in the group was the WTF part, and that was because how they massacred the BMW scene. That was clearly fake, cheap CGI. The
Hmm.
way they just shoved the BMW down there, that was so bad. But other than that, I don't think the CGI was bad. The only thing which, other than this, was how they what's her name in the movie? The daughter. What's Olga
Antonia.
Antonia?
Antonia.
Yeah, yeah. She wasn't given justice. I mean, exactly. We know they have a long history of battles, and it's not easy to defeat her. And in the starting as well on the bridge, it's just very poor acting. Not acting, but it's like a poor script in a way that she's not
Mm.
shown her full potential. That's what I'm going to say on it.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like the movie kind of. So the thing is that because it was a Black Widow movie, it kind of focused more on Black Widow related issues instead of resolving a couple of other things.
Mm.
We bate inconsequential. So like you didn't. There's nothing that you could have done in this movie that have made it would have made us care. If I'm being very honest, because okay, they don't talk about the Red Room later, so I'm pretty sure you
It
did get
did.
the Red
It,
Room.
it did make us care in a bit for Natasha, but it made us care a lot for Yelena.
True, but
Yeah.
here's the thing that I have to say that will just nullify everything in this movie that I've been wanting to say since I watched the movie. Right? This movie took place in 2016 ish.
Yep. Right,
Right?
Yeah,
right. Like immediately after like Civil
Civil
War,
War.
the airport battle, because right after that, when
Right.
Tony tells Natasha that T'Challa told Ross and they're coming for you in
Yep.
next
I'll
week.
add one point. I'll add
And
one point.
this is before, by the way, sorry,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
before Steve breaks out the others, because
Yeah,
when Ross is coming in, he says we've got the others, but after this failed attempt to capture her, he finds out that the others have been broken out by Steve.
Yeah,
So this is
that's covered in
in
the last
that in
scene.
that yeah.
Yeah. What
So
I will
this is
say
like
is
right after Civil War.
the moment when Natasha like met Yelena after so long, and
Mm.
there is a whole fight. I don't get the purpose of the fight because Yelena was not in under influence of the potion, right? So
No,
I
she
don't.
was
obviously
just
you don't know
salty.
how
She was
sisters work.
she
That's
was
how
just
sisters work.
yeah. She was just salty for being ignored by Natasha all these years.
Not
It
No, it's not
happens
like
between sisters, honestly. I feel like this is just was
Yeah.
like a sibling thing that they wanted to show and them blowing off steam and like
Yeah.
it
And
was
plus
just
they're
that.
super spies. They're
they
super
also
spies. So,
the super spy point exactly. It's like they don't know what the other person is thinking and what's on their mind, right?
Yeah.
So at any point it could have been that Yelena was sent to get Natasha. Natasha was sent to get Yelena. They don't know that,
mm,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
So that they just kind of
And
had to get that resolved.
unfortunately they're matched skill for skill, move for move.
Most for the
Yeah.
most part.
Most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my point that I was making,
Yep.
this entire okay, so the entire movie took place over what, 2 days, 3 days ish,
Approximately a
approximately.
week. Approximately.
at
Yeah,
max,
let's say
right?
Maximum a week.
A maximum a week. I'm thinking 3 to 5 days, probably in my
Mm,
opinion, right?
I guess.
yeah.
So 3 to 5 days, she gets her family and everything. She meets up with her family for like a day, and then she decides, "Hey, this is my family."
Mm,
And then over the next 7 years, she's
yeah.
decided the Avengers are her family and that she doesn't need another family anymore. So
She did
that
say she has two
she
families.
says she has
yeah,
two families in 2016.
No, but here's the thing. The ending scene, like where she's blonde and she gets into the Quinjet, that's 2 weeks after the main
It
movie,
is.
right? And that the way she's wearing that same outfit is the same outfit when she and Steve and Sam go and
No,
save Wanda,
this,
and then there
yes.
was no time after that because right after that the snap happened, and we don't
yeah.
know if her family also got snapped or not. So for
Actually,
do
I
actually,
we?
don't think Yelena
timeline
did.
Actually, we
Timeline
do.
timeline wise speaking, because I've read the tie-in comic between Civil War and Infinity War.
Hmm.
So after this, she goes on with Steve to rescue everybody else, right?
Yep.
Except for Scott and except for Hawkeye, who end up taking deals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so everybody else is saved. They drop
Yeah.
Wanda off to meet Vision. Okay,
Hmm.
and Sam, Natasha, and Captain America go on this arms dealer hunt in
Hmm.
Syria,
Okay.
right? So they start dealing with stuff over there, the three of them, for the next 2 years,
Okay.
Yeah.
right? They start going on this arms dealer, like drug dealer, like all these little big time weapons dealers. They start
Hmm.
taking
Hmm.
care of them in like Secret Avengers style, right?
Hmm.
So for the next 2 years, right? And Natasha doesn't go back and meet her family again after that during this time. She doesn't
No wonder Yelena was salty.
exactly. She doesn't talk about them because obviously, by the time the comic was being written, there
Hmm.
was no concept of the Black Widow movie, so that's
Yeah.
understandable. But then, for 2 years, they were traveling the world dealing with weapons dealers. Then
Mm.
Civil War happened, and then we got the Nomad Steve,
Infinite
Infinity War.
Civil
Sorry,
War and Infinity War.
Infinity
Yeah.
War. Sorry,
Infinity War.
Infinity War happened. Then we got Nomad Steve and everything, right?
Yeah.
Then the snap happened, and then there's
Yep.
like no indication whatsoever whether or not she tried to get in contact with her family during the snap, the 5 years of the snap, right?
Okay.
So
So so they've left it ambiguous if whether she did it or not, or whether they were snapped or not.
yeah, so whether they were snapped or not, we have no idea, right? So like for the next 5 years, though, by the time it's 2023 in the Marvel universe,
Hmm.
Hmm.
Natasha has sort of made up her mind that the Avengers are her family,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Which makes everything in this movie again inconsequential.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, like, if you see it that way, like, if Natasha was in touch with Yelena, Yelena would have just straight up refused to go after Hawkeye because she would know how close Hawkeye and Black Widow were.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So she never stayed in touch with them ever again. She
Hmm.
maybe had like this one moment of nostalgia with in the past. Ki, oh, I have two families. But then she realized that that family is a freaking mess. I don't want anything to do with them. Right. I'm
Yeah,
gonna stick with my Avengers. And then by
Hmm.
the end of it, even Tony says, kid, we were all the family she had.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's not exactly their fault since Natasha probably never told them about her Russian family.
And if Natasha never told them about the Russian family, how the hell does the gravestone say daughter, sister, and Avenger?
She
Exactly.
had to be born to someone.
But sister?
I don't
yeah.
know.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. That's what
like
I was
that.
confused about.
Hey, hold on. That could have been from the Avengers because the rest of them are guys. The OG Avengers.
Okay,
Tony, Steve,
I will add
Bruce,
one
Yeah,
point.
but
Barton. They probably thought of her as a sister.
In the after credits,
Yes.
post credits, when
Yeah.
Yelena is at the grave, right, and
Mm.
this agent is right beside her, which gives her the file.
Valentina.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Valentina
Valentina.
gives her the file of Hawkeye, right? I mean, she knew Yelena. That's why there is written daughter and sister. Somebody knew because obviously someone had a file. It's not
Mm.
like they don't do any backstory on hiring Avengers, right?
I mean, it kind of does when the person you're hiring is a freaking Russian spy, right? But like ultimately, none of the Avengers knew, right? And none of
So
the Avengers,
basically,
even if they had a file, none of the Avengers would have known to bury her in Ohio.
right. Unless Barton Clint knew
No,
something
the
about her
thing with
past.
Avengers,
Small
the thing
things
with
about her.
Avengers
I
is
feel like we're gonna know more about Yelena and Natasha's relationship in these 5 years between Infinity War and Endgame in Hawkeye when she actually interacts with Hawkeye.
no. The thing is,
That
if we
would be
move,
quite minor since the show is again focused on
Yeah, Hawkeye.
distant
Acha,
hate.
I'm going to address what Kanza said after Junaid finishes what he says.
if we
Yes,
put a
go ahead.
rewind and go back to Iron Man, right, when Iron
Hmm.
Man starts, and so basically Tony meets Natasha in the boxing ring. So he doesn't recruit Natasha from outside. He meets her, and then that's how she's being recruited into the Avengers.
Iron Man 2?
Yep.
Iron Man 2, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how she's recruited in the Avengers. So
Mhm.
Tony knowing her, I don't think it requires a background check. I think.
Well, the thing is that Tony didn't technically recruit her for the Avengers. Steve did.
Fury sent her in.
Yeah.
Fury sent her in to infiltrate.
Fury sent her in, but technically, Steve said, okay,
It
hey,
was
you
Steve.
two, you non powered people, let's get in the jet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, yeah, that's beside the point, right? So it's just a matter of unless somebody knew about Ohio, which means she'd have to have talked about it to somebody. I don't see
and
the
and
go
the most possible person she could have talked to would be Barton,
Bart,
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Like
And
maybe just a throwaway thing that maybe I stayed some years in Ohio, and or maybe I like that place if I ever want to settle down, something like that.
I mean, obviously, there's a world of possibilities as to how,
Mm.
but it's just a matter of
Exactly.
ke, it just felt done for the convenience of the movie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So,
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like they did it just because she said at the age of 9, I want to go back to Ohio. They didn't have
Mm.
any proper reason for it.
Mm.
and that's like that just didn't sit well with me, honestly. It's just like, okay, if you're okay, I love that you're giving Natasha a gravestone. I just
Mm.
feel like it would have made more sense because nobody else knew about Ohio. It would have been more sense for the gravestone to have been on Avengers campus.
Exactly.
Possible.
Like
Yeah.
make the X-Men reference, right? Put every Avengers in one ground.
Yeah, so like
Mm.
I imagine Steve,
Uh,
Tony, and Natasha would all have gravestones on Avengers campus.
Yeah.
However, Avengers Campus is probably quite badly wrecked after the final battle of Endgame.
Well, Tony Stark had a lot of money. He could have had it rebuilt in like a month.
Except Tony Stark also died.
So his money didn't die.
Yeah, I mean, like, technically, I mean, they did bury Tony somewhere. They could have just done something for Natasha there as well.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had like a lakeside funeral for Tony at the cabin where he was living, not at
Yeah.
Avengers Campus.
this
Or
Maybe.
maybe they just did it like they did with Sarah Lance. Just make a empty gravestone. So the real body is
yeah.
somewhere else.
But then I just remembered, I was talking about how Tony Stark would still have money, but then I just remembered he never paid any of his Avengers. So a throwback to Falcon the Winter Soldier there, folks.
Yep. Also, one more throwback I just remembered. The way in it was, I guess, Winter Soldier, the one where Hydra is revealed to be inside Shield,
Hmm.
right?
They
At the
mentioned
start,
Hydra at the time. Yeah, I remember.
no. Yeah, that the facility that Alexei stole from in the start was a Hydra facility. That and also on the ship in the start, the Lemurian Star, like it's blowing up. Steve's telling her to go, but she's just saving all the data from the hard drive.
Yeah.
She does it again in Dracov's moving castle, his
Yep.
flying house
Yeah.
moving castle.
Yep. Yep. The movie.
Natasha is the save the data kind of person.
So we've talked a fair bit about the movie. I'm sure there's a lot more we could have said. But ultimately, what are your guys' final thoughts and the score that you guys have for this movie? Starting with Samin.
uh, I really liked it. Like even though it was inconsequential to the overall MCU, and like we know the foregone conclusion, but it was a nice way of like giving Natasha a backstory, because again she is probably the only female that we've known from the original team,
Mm-hmm.
and we know very little about her. Like we even got to know a bit about Hawkeye's family even in Ultron. So it was a good fun movie. I would give it around an 8 as a score out of 10.
Interesting. Junaid?
It was a good movie. To be honest, it was a brilliant movie that we finally get a female Avengers movie, a solo
Yeah.
one, and which introduces a lot of new characters. For example, Yelena is being introduced, and I forgot the Russian
Antonia.
Captain
Antonia?
Russia. No, no, no. Captain Russia, whatever it is.
Red
Red
Guardian?
Guardian.
Red Guardian,
Red
yeah.
Guardian.
So, I mean, we get a lot of characters, and it's not really a bad movie. I mean, we can watch it solo without watching any of Avengers. So, I will give it approximately. I will give it an 8.5. Sorry, it was a good movie.
Right. Before I move on to the next person, I just remembered a small little thing I want to talk about.
Uh-huh.
The Red Guardian, it was when he's talking to Yelena, and Yelena says stuff like, "You're just too busy being the Crimson Dynamo instead of being an actual
Yeah,
father," right? And
exactly. That
I got happy because Crimson Dynamo is an Iron Man villain,
yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, nice, solid reference, right? No, I'm not
So
talking
he
about the
exists
frostbite
somewhere.
scene. I'm not talking about the
Yeah,
frostbite
he
scene.
yeah. So
Yeah,
Crimson Dynamo does exist somewhere in this universe.
Yeah, and
We just haven't seen him yet.
I love how he just goes like there's just silence after that. And he just goes, "It's Red Guardian." The dude cannot catch a break. This movie, I love it.
And then
I just realized.
when Melina's named a pig after him, you don't see the resemblance.
The dude just cannot catch a. The dude cannot catch a
No,
break in this movie, but I love it. I love it. I love him for it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it.
Plus,
he's trying to apologize to Natasha, and you have no earpiece.
plus they revealed that even the heroes can get fat. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
like we have Fat Thor in Endgame, chubby Thor.
yeah.
All right, Kanza, your final thoughts and score for the movie.
I mean, as a standalone movie, it's pretty great. I mean, it's definitely going to give a lot of young girls that are watching the movie another female character to inspire over. Especially since it's about time we got a solo movie about a female Avenger, about any female superhero. So I feel like from that point of view, it's pretty great. Backstory wise, I mean, like we all have issues with the movie, especially considering the fact that there was no consequence to that this movie there was no suspense to the movie. We have already had a very long discussion about this, so I'm
Hmm.
probably going to give this movie like a 7.57.
Right. So,
Pick one. Pick one.
I cannot. 7.5 it is.
I will,
so
I will. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
no, no, go on, Junaid.
I will add one point, and it should be in Urdu, and this is what Suhaib shared in the group. So this was the highlight of दुनिया न्यूज़ which said गैर मामूली सलाहियतों की हामिल खातून ने दुश्मनों के छक्के छुड़ा दिए. I didn't see any दुश्मनों के छक्के छुड़ा दिए. Nobody died except the boss himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pun
And the
intended.
entire prison.
Pun intended.
Okay. So, I'm almost scared. The movie was a fun watch, and I might watch it again at some point. I know Mar's watching it again right now with his office. But
I've already seen it 3 times.
but I don't think I'll watch it again. I will watch it again, but I won't watch it again anytime soon,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right? Because I saw it once, and I think that the once was enough for now.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
probably going to watch it during a marathon, but like right
exactly.
after
Yeah.
civil
Yes,
war, but like actually in the order where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
exactly. So like I'll watch it during civil. I'll watch it during a marathon, but that's pretty much it. I'm
Hmm.
not like even like once in a while I'll sit down and I'll watch Civil War again. I'll watch Infinity War again. I'll watch the original
Yeah.
Avengers again, Age of Ultron. I'll
Yeah.
watch Endgame. But I don't think that this is one of those movies that I'll be like, I feel like watching a Marvel movie. Let's watch Black Widow,
Yeah.
right? So it was a good movie though. I'm not gonna say it was a
Hmm.
horrible movie because it definitely wasn't. We've had worse movies. Thor: Dark World. uh,
No.
but
Yes.
Okay. Okay, fine.
but the movie is still gonna be a 6.5 for me.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the reason it's a 6.5 is because well, no suspense. Characters were great. Everything was great. Just that the lack of consequence in this movie, the fact that there are a couple of plot line elements that they didn't care for or didn't handle properly. Continuity is a big issue in this movie because of like as is a problem with any prequel that you do. right? You always have a continuity issue, and honestly, there were times where I just got slightly bored watching the movie. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll feel a bit different because I was watching with Amar, and would you guys like my cat's not well right now, so like that would be tension these set. So I don't know if I watch it again, my score might change, but right now it's 6.5 because I felt bored at sometimes. The few times that I did actually enjoy it, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I should would have. Even though I did force myself to keep saying, "I love this movie, I love this movie," it just in the
Okay.
at
No.
the end of the day, it's just that okay, yeah, it was a good movie, but I don't think it was a great movie, right?
Hmm.
As great as other movies we've had in the entire MCU, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, 6.5. That brings our average to about a 7.5,
Yeah, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
right?
normal.
So yeah, that those are our thoughts on Black Widow. It was a good movie. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the podcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Let us know what your favorite Red Guardian dialogue was.
Or Yelena. Or Yelena's favorite moment.
Let's play a game. If you
Yeah.
loved Red Guardian, like the video, and if you like White Widow, like the video. We'll figure out who wins later.
Bit
And
nice.
Hi.
if you like Dracov, dislike the please don't dislike the video.
Why would you say that?
Why would you keep that as an option?
Why?
Anyway, yeah, those are our thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to our discussion, and we'll see you all next time. Good night, everybody.
Bye. Bye.